Hey you guys, so I want to go ahead and get into some stocks that I want you guys to keep your eye on for the remainder of December, okay? We are just days away from January 2026 or the year 2026, and it has been a really weird year. Well, I guess politically rather, on the market. We have seen some heavy market manipulation. Y'all didn't hear that over here more than once this year. We've seen how our sitting president has really moved the market in a number of ways, whether it's been tariff wars, whether just a lot of stuff. Everything from him just making a quick post on Truth Social has been moving the market. A lot of the things that we anticipate happening in September didn't quite happen. A lot of the things that we anticipate happening in the month of December on the market hasn't quite happened. It's like a lot of stuff has kind of been flip-flop. But of course, in this game of option trading, we can play either side of the market. And hey, I've done that. I'm sure some of you guys have done that as well. But I want to kind of look at a few things that I've kind of been posting in my school community news-wise, and just some things that I kind of want you guys to keep on your radar. And of course, I'm going to look at one of my favorites that I've been talking about, whether in my school community, social media, or you guys may have already seen some videos posted on it. So I'm definitely going to talk about that one. So let's get to these charts. Let's look at these stocks really quickly. And also we're going to go to the option chain over on TradingView so we can kind of look at whether, this is a low cap. Well, I'm going to say low cap, but lower risk, where the premiums are a little bit cheaper for those of you who may be new to it, or you have a small account, or you're not looking to risk too much on your trades and you want something that could be a great play where you don't have to expend an extensive amount of money or risk too much of your account. All right, so with that, we're going to get right into it. Very first one we're going to look at is Intel. Now, why do I want to look at Intel first? It's because Intel and Nvidia are going to be two of the five we're going to look at. And with Intel, okay, there was news that came out that Nvidia will be halting the 18A testing Intel chips. Okay, so let's look at that really quickly. It says Intel shares fell about 3.6% to $35.04 in pre-market trading after Nvidia paused testing of Intel's 18A chip technology, hindering Intel's efforts to attract external chip makers. Okay, and so with that, we saw both Nvidia and Intel come down, okay? But this is why I want to look at it, because I have been waiting for us to get back to this $32 level. You guys see where I have this little red line here? This is my alert. Now, I got here into for January loans, but I've had this here for a minute when we got this little run up here. And when we finally broke above literally this $36 level where we are now, I was like, all right, well, I missed my mark. I want to wait for this thing to get back to 32. Now, why 32? Mainly because I was looking at this area. So it wasn't like a pinpoint on 32. It was like right at like 32.35 to approximately 32.99. This little area right up in here, okay? From this point to here, which I look at as a massive structure holdup. Okay, so getting below that, I was like, okay, we might be coming back down, but this is the point that I was looking for to get into. But there's another thing I wanted to keep in mind. If you're in my school community, you know how I feel about gap. If I see a gap and it's close by and I feel like this thing could get filled before another major move takes place, I want to see that happen. Now, another thing in my school community is that if you're there, you may have been a part of the group that caught this massive move that when I posted the trade plan, we had this here at bullpenning, okay? We got that here, and then we had this little wedge in here. Now, it wasn't all the way here. It was like right up in this area before all of this played out. So the trade was already going well. Then Nvidia comes in and invests $5 billion into Intel. This thing shot up. Amazing trade, by the way, okay? So we've been still keeping this one on our radar, and it has really been giving some decent moves, unless if you held it 3 days, a week, maybe 2 weeks. You gotta hold it a little bit to get a nice little move on this thing, and we did just that, okay? And so right now, I am looking for this thing to get back to this area around here, around 32, to make a move. And I had January, but now I'm looking at like mid-February to have for my expiration so I can give it time to really play out, okay? Another move I caught with this one, we did have this run up, was this little double top here. Okay, once we got this bearish counter, as you guys can see, this thing was running up. I said, okay, we might not stop out here. And we're going to talk about this again later on another stop. We might not stop out here. It can go to that next level and start coming down, but I wanted to wait until we got a nice bearish candle to the downside and then make a move. Then we have this bearish engulfing candle up in here. Okay, it's where bearish engulfing. Okay, so we got that as well. It was just a little bit more confirmation that we could really get this thing moving back to the downside. This is another trade that I caught coming down. I held it for a good little bit. Amazing trade again. And so now I'm looking for a rinse to repeat opportunity once we get back up in here. Okay. And if you're using TradingView, if you did not know, you can add alerts to boxes. Okay. You can add an alert to where it's not actually, it doesn't have to be online. So matter of fact, I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to delete this alert here. So that way I'll be alerted once the price get back in this box, because that's where I'm looking to make my move. But we break below 32. We coming further on down, and we're going to probably retest around this 28, and they will potentially attempt to fill this gap. So it's going to be a couple of things that we want to watch for, just to be sure we don't make a move too soon on this thing. But getting in at the right spot, this could definitely be an amazing trade to ride back up. And it's not expensive at all. INTC is one of those stocks that you can trade if you are working with a small account, even if you want to have an extended expiration. This here for just the 23rd of January, you can see you can have $100, 200, maybe you can play either direction. If you brought this thing to the 30th, still not very expensive. Me personally, I was looking at February 20th to have an extended period of time on my expiration with 3 to 5 contracts so that I can take profit at various price targets. Okay, and you can see here, it's still not expensive, because remember, the more time on your expiration, the higher things can get, because you're buying time. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, not an expensive play to do and hold. Okay, so that's Intel. And the very next one, which is tied directly to it, is Nvidia, because it's something that I caught before the breakout happened and I missed my mark. So now I gotta wait for a retest so that I can potentially make a move on this thing. Let's go to Nvidia, ticker NVDA, and always make sure you are clicking on the right exchange. Remember, you got NYSE and NASDAQ. You'll see TSX. This is the one that I have to remind those in my school community who are in Canada, hey, you will need to look at TSX if you're using TradingView. So be sure you're clicking on the right thing. These here let you know what the exchanges are, okay, so that you know that you are picking the right one. The Mexican Stock Exchange, the Toronto Stock Exchange, there are tons of them, okay? Countries have their own exchanges. So you want to be sure you're clicking the right one for the proper price action and the proper price, all right? Now, let's click on this one, which is the NASDAQ. Now, this is the channel. We're on the daily time frame. Remember, I'm primarily a swing trader, so we're going to look a lot at the daily time frame. The next one on Nvidia, okay, I had this channel. This is what you call a descending channel, okay? I had it when it was up here. I extended it out yesterday when I was sharing this with my school community, and I was like, okay, we got the breakout and I missed my mark. So you can see where we are right now. This thing closed out at 188.61 on yesterday. And so now that we got this run up here, I'm not really tripping about it. I missed my mark, yeah, but now I'm waiting on a retest. And so going from here and coming back down to approximately 182 to get my retest opportunity to ride it back up. Or you can kind of see on this daily, we're working what you call a fair value gap. So if we come back down, retest around this area about 184.12, I could potentially look for some entry there. And this will be a long-term trade for me. So I'm not exactly looking at this one for a day trade. Can it be? Absolutely. Actually, even attempted to fill this fair value gap here to the downside could be an opportunity. That's approximately a $4 move. You can go from here to catch that, depending on how it opens up tomorrow. But I want to see a retest to get in for my February loans, okay, to ride this thing back out. And all of these are the targets. We're going to see some heavy rejection around this little area up in here. So this will most definitely be my first target up in here, okay, at about 195.65. So Just wanted to share that, okay? We have this very nice descending channel here, okay? We up, we came back down, up, came back down, retested. We didn't push all the way down this time, but we finally got a breakout. So keep it on your radar. Next one that we are going to look at is Nike. Now, why do I want to look at Nike? One thing we know about the market and its investors, especially its retail investors, is that when certain news hits or certain people are buying, it attracts us to the stock. We want to go see what this is about. Now, you know how social media go when you see someone selling a bunch of stock in a company or buying a bunch of stock. The first thing they say is they must know something we don't. And with Nike, Tim Cook, Apple CEO, has doubled his investment in Nike, right? So let me come over here. And it says here, Nike shares climbed 4.86% to $60.13 after Apple CEO Tim Cook bought 2.95 million in stock, acquiring 50,000 shares at $58.97, nearly doubling his ownership. And this thing went up. Now, it left us with two gaps, okay? Well, let me rephrase, left us with two gaps. It left us with this gap, but we have another gap to the upside. Gaps, I like to see them get filled before I go too hard, because I don't want to say, all right, I want to go long now, but they decide to come back down, fill this gap. I could play along these lines a little bit, cause me some premium burn, when I could have potentially waited for them to fill the gap, made a move, and then wrote it up. Okay, so my biggest thing is this: always understand the stock that you're trading and how it moves, so you'll know how to get your time accordingly. If if Nike moves in about $1.52 on the day, and you trying to catch a $10 move, you know you need to have this particular trade or expiration at least a week or two. Okay, so you can give it time to kind of make a move. And so what I would personally be looking for is them to come back and attempt to refill this little gap here. All right, this is about $57. I would like to see this retested. They can do that. I would say, okay, I could potentially make a move here. My first target would be right here where we have this rejection in this little area here at around $60.58. That would be my first target. Second target would be around $62.92. And then we got some stuff up in here, of course, getting this gap filled in. And then up here, once it's filled, they could potentially fill it and try to retest again. Okay, so looking at around 65, 66, and then it's higher stuff up here. Okay, so as always, it's very, very important that you time where you get in, but you can get out where you are comfortable. Set levels, set targets, and respect them. Okay, so that a good trade doesn't go bad. All right, so personally, I want to see this little gap fill here. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put here, and I'm going to turn on my alert for this rectangle. So once the price comes back into this rectangle, that will let me know that we came back in. We potentially got this entire thing filled up. Now let's see what takes place from there and ride it up. And let's really quickly look at Nike's option chain to see what we're working with. So even if you were to get a January 23rd expiration, it will not be very, very expensive in either direction that you play. Okay, if you want to come a little bit cheaper, January 2nd, you can see it's much more cheaper. We see some heavy volume around here on this $60 strike price, which is around, has about a 10-cent spread. It's a big spread, but it doesn't scare me, okay? It ain't like it's $1, $2, $3, but 10 cents, and it can tighten throughout the day or tighten as it gets closer to this expiration. Okay, so it can work with small accounts and it is not very expensive. Okay, so that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Watch these gaps. Let some retesting take place. And also, if you are not familiar with this little setup that here, I'm not going to delete that, but this is what you will call a morning star. Okay, we got this candle, we got the star here, and it is a bullish move. Okay, I'm going to take you guys right in here to the candlestick pattern book and to show you guys what the morning star looks like. Okay, looks like this. And you may also see what is called a morning doji star, where you got a doji where it doesn't have a body, whereas the morning star actually has a body. Okay, and this one is what is here. Okay, so even with that massive little, I won't say massive, but nice little jump up, it left us with a gap, and the setup pretty much is still there. Okay, so just something I wanted to kind of put out there as what that is here. You see it here again. It came down. We got a morning star there, and look what happened. It runs up, and we have an evening star here. We got this one. We got this star here, and now this one is a little bit more choppy, but it's still there. The pattern is still there, but you really see this morning star here and here, and you can kind of look at that as an evening star. So just want to throw that little lesson in there, all right? So the next one that we are going to look at is Netflix, all right? Netflix has finally, it got under $100. I had my first share of Netflix when it was $700 and it ran up to $1,000. We got the stock split. I then had 10 shares. Once we got under $100, I bought more. Now, I had someone in my school community ask me, why am I watching this $82 level? Because if we got below $93, I said we are definitely going to come lower. We are now at 92, and I am looking for this thing to continue to come down to about 82. Could it push back up? Yeah, of course. We get some rejection and push back down. Currently, right now, I'm seeing this little wedge here take place. Okay, and then I kind of see this here. So we got that there, here, and we can begin to push back down. Now, that's a $10 move, so I'm not looking for a straight drop down, but I am looking for it to get back there. And if we come a little further to the left, you can kind of see how this little level here holds up, okay, around that $82 level. Play here, here, and here. So getting that there would really act as a spot that I would be looking to buy more shares, average down, as well as get it into long, where I'm looking to get between 5 to 10 contracts, hold this thing, take profit as we ride this thing back up, rinse and repeat. All right, and so we go to their option chain really quickly. Let's see, in. All right, there we go. And if we dare to do something for like January 23rd expiration, not too expensive, but it may be a little bit more up there. It's not as expensive as it used to be when it was $1,000 stock. I can definitely tell you that. But if you want to do a trade on this one with a smaller expiration, potentially a day trade, then it will definitely get a lot less, and it will get more inexpensive when you come to a lower expiration date. Okay, so you can see here we're working with about $100 here, $80 there. I wouldn't want to go too far down because you see on these deltas, I like my deltas to be a minimum 50 cents and higher. Okay, that way I can see my profits faster. And if I wanted to come out of the trade, I didn't have to sit there all day waiting for some profits because I had a nice delta. Okay, so I would definitely be looking to come up here and higher. And on this side, at minimum, this is where I would go, considering we got 50 cents here. But of course, the gamma can change our delta as this thing goes in our favor. So it just usually depends. So this could be done with a small account as well. It just all depends on your game plan and how long you are looking to hold. Now, the very last one, which is my favorite, will be MRK. Now, if you saw my last video, you'll know I was just talking about MRK because we finally broke through that 105 yesterday. Okay, that 105 was a heavy resistance that I had been watching. But if you're in my school community, you already know how much I have made from MRK this year. It literally beat out everything from Tesla, from Apple, from my Google trades, from my spot. Listen, MRK came and beat out everything. My INTC trade, I did that one. That was my first 10K trade. My MRK, I did a 10K overview on this one as well. And the current trade that I'm in, I got 12 contracts. I sold 2 and I sold another 5 yesterday because I wasn't sure if we were going to break this 105. So I sold 5 to leave my last 5 as runners, and this is why. Okay, first thing, if you are not familiar with what a double top is, okay, I'm gonna go back up in here. This is a double top. It is the shape of a letter M, and it is a bearish signal, and it is letting us know that the price has hit a resistance twice. Now, the resistance won't always be the exact same place. Okay, it could be the same level, whereas it may have been 105 here. It could have been 105 here and started coming down. But in this case, we might be looking at this thing pushing up to approximately 107. It may hit that 107.38 or a little bit higher and then start to come back down. But this is where you don't make a move too prematurely. What I want to see is some heavy rejection, either from where we closed out yesterday or hitting 107, rejecting and coming back down. I want to see a candle like this candle here. All right, you guys see how strong this rejection was? You see this here, right? Small. You got they're dojis. Actually, it's like more of a spinning top doji. Both of them, really. It just shows you some indecision there. And, nobody won the round, not the Bulls or the Bears. But on this fourth candle, this thing pushed down. Nice rejection and a nice size body here was showing that it's my momentum that we pushed this thing down. And look what happened. We came all the way back down to $96. That's exactly what I am looking to take place over here now. So once we get some confirmation that we break back below 105, you guys see why I have this alert at 104.11? We get a nice little close down there. I'm more confident in making my move to ride MRK down and rinse and repeat. And that right there will give us our double top move. Okay? So keep MRK on your radar. MRK is also another one that is not expensive to trade, okay? You can get a very nice expiration to allow this thing to really play out and not have to spend a ton of money, okay? So I'm looking at around 100. Me personally, of course, like I said, 50 cents, but 49 could do as well on that Delta. And, as long as it's going our way, it can increase. Look up here. And even if you did something, let's just say January 9th, you're looking at a couple hundreds. Well, I don't say a couple hundred, I'm sorry. 100 to 186, 195 up in here. Not too bad. Okay, the second, of course, it gets even cheaper. But MRK does not make massive moves on the day. $1.50, $2. $3 on a good day. So you want to be sure you got enough time on your expiration to let it play out, whichever direction you may be playing. And so in this case, I am definitely waiting for this thing to make its way back to 96, which I am confident that it will do. It has been on a nice run up, especially with, a lot of FDA approvals. Eli Lilly becoming a $1 trillion company really had an impact on other stocks, and it poured over. So definitely something for you guys to really, really keep on your radar. So those are 5 stocks that I want you guys to watch for the remainder of December. Okay, we're just a few days away from the new year, so these are some that you could literally take 100, 150 and turn into something additional to where you can have a nice trade. You can not risking a whole lot if you're working with a small account, or if you're new to it and really want to just get your feet wet without having to go too hard. These stocks, you can do that with them all. Okay, including Nvidia. The important thing is getting in at a really good spot and not jumping in too fast so that you're not in the midst of any premium burn and you just didn't get into a spot just because you let it hit a really good level and then you made your move. All right, so I hope these trades could work for you guys. If you do, please let me know. And with that, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.